Alright, I have a 2013 E350 here that has a P0018, P0018, let's see. It is a P0018 for the camshaft correlation between crank and blah blah bank 2. Now I had this at work and I scanned it with the Mercedes tool and it said that to check. It's been happening a lot lately, but the tone wheel were the magnets, there's a magnet here, here, and there's some under the intake for this bank that has the cam correlation fault. So I'll have to look up the instructions, it's been a while. But on the camshaft there's a tone wheel where the magnet, the pickups, and they can spin on the camshaft because they're not like, they're just pressed on there in a certain position. I'm not sure how they get that position from the assembly line. But there's a window you can look through to check and see if they're where they're supposed to be, and if you pull the cam cover off this thing, then there's another tool that you can have that you can place on the back of the cam on the tone wheel, and then you can mark you can etch your, it's pretty complicated. It's kind of stupid. Then there's another tool to hold it on time. I don't even think there is a tool to hold it on time actually. I'm trying to think here. It's been so long since I had 276 apart. But anyways, I'm going to be removing the intake, and then so I can get to the magnets. So there's magnets here, and there's the holes you need to be able to get to see through to see the magnet or the pickup wheels. So I can't see these ones until I remove the intake plenum, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. We'll start with removing the intake plenum here for this stuff. I'm going to remove the air box first. There's a sensor here for the intake air temperature. I don't know if you can see that or not. Let's try to zoom in. It's not too far. You pull up on the gray clip, and then you push down on the gray clip to release it. Then there's also a springy clamp here. You just kind of go underneath and pry up on it, and it'll release. And then there's two E10s there. After you take the E10s, you can pull your box out of the way, up and out. Then you're going to need a T20 for these top screws on this little one that says V6 on it. So it says V6 here, and then just go ahead and pull that off. See, I'm gonna put that on. I wish I could get in closer here. It's just hard to. It's kind of like a large area that I'm working with here. And then go ahead and pull this sensor off. Connector. Release the gate. The gray lock. Yeah. Yeah. Gonna have to release this line here, so just kind of get underneath it to break it loose with a pick or something. That one just pulls off. And this one also just pulls out. Take this the T20 out of this screw, or this little thing here. And I got this, and this. We'll get the throttle body connector down here off after we break this loose, the plenum. And there's a couple more sensors you have to take off. So there's one here, over here on the back. Release that one. There should be one also back here down the side. Same style with the gray connector. You see it kind of attached to this little plenum here. It's a position sensor for that. And there's another one back here. And I think that is all for the connectors. Oh, son of a gun. And then what we gotta do is there's 2 bolts in here, and then there's 2 holes back here. I'll show you. So there's these 2 here, and then all the way back here, there's these 2. And then down there's some E10s that we gotta get loose. So you can just use like a deep 8. Just a regular E. And I just leave the bolts in there. And then another thing you have to take off is your brake booster line here, which is kind of a pain in the butt if you don't know how to deal with these connectors. So there's like these, there's one side of it that has, you gotta pinch it and pull it. They don't really always work. And then after you get that up, there's another one connected to the vacuum pump back here. Get that, squeeze that. I'll show you how to take those off in a minute. And then also there's another down here, so below the vacuum booster, or whatever you want, vacuum pump, there's another vacuum line. What I do is I typically just break the line. It's a little vacuum line, it's super brittle, although it came off because I think someone already had the intake plenum off this, because to diagnose it they just shotgunned a bunch of parts, and so they actually already had this plenum off. I'm curious to see if they actually put those. I had a vacuum leak fault. And then you got this off. And see here, they did not install these right. So what they probably did is put them in the plenum first, and then put the plenum on, and then that's almost went in the intake manifold. So I'm gonna need a new one of these. Sorry, new one of these. I got smashed. So what are these? Oh, this one got smashed too. They all got smashed. This thing had a giant air leak fault. So the way these work is that they go on the plenum first, which makes more sense if you have a brain. And then that way the mushroom shaped is downwards, and then when you push the plenum back on, it goes on, but I will need all new ones because they smashed them all. Didn't do that right. You wanted something going in there. So here, let me show you on this. So here's the line that I was talking about that's kind of a pain in the butt to get off. This one has these lines here, and you squeeze it and then it'll mushroom it out. You squeeze it and it'll mushroom it out, and then you pull it off. Okay, now that you're here, here's your cam sensors. I'm pretty sure they changed. And also a super common issue on these 276s, what it looks like on this, is oil in the engine control unit. Let me see how much oil is actually in here. We got a decent amount inside there. I'm curious as if this might be what's causing the fault. So for good measure, I'm gonna pull the magnets off and I'm gonna check where those tone wheels were at. So one thing that Mercedes tells us to do with this is just to spray the engine control unit out and let it drain out the oil and then put it back on. What you would want to do is an engine harness, but it could be over the course of 30,000, 40,000 miles, so it's not actually that bad, and it saves you from spending a couple $1,000. So there's the oil inside there. So what I'm gonna do, spray it out with contact cleaner and let it sit face down, and then just let it drain all the oil out. So I went ahead and, is that how much oil just dumped out of that? Oh, that's from the intake. I just dumped a bunch of oil from the intake. So I'll let that drain into a towel and show you how much I get out of it. Let's pull these cam magnets off. These are T30s, which I don't know if they said they changed them all. Unless they just put the old ones back on, which kind of looks like they did. Yeah, I know that one's up. Nice. Is it here? I never used that today. Cam magnets are all the same part number, so it doesn't matter if you mix them up or not. I believe that this is where the oil starts coming from, is out of these, because you can see there's a ton of oil in there. Or it typically gets pushed through some sort of pressure, so like these cam actuators can get it. This one's dry, so you can check these, but it costs a lot to repair it correctly, so a lot of people don't. If it was my personal car, I probably wouldn't spend the money either. I would just clean out all the connectors. You can check it periodically to see which one starts accumulating oil first. Because it just wicks through the insulation of the engine harness, like it goes inside the coloring essentially, where the color is. It goes through and then it'll push through all the way to here. This one's the one with the engine, the motor, so it has an M on it, and then there's a bunch of oil there, so it's pushing through. It's usually like a pressure sensor or something. If you want to get to that, actually I'm not even sure where that is on this car. You should usually locate it on the side of the block. But like I said, just spray it out, call it a day. I think they replaced these magnets too. They did this bank because this was the bank with the issues, so they left these magnets on, it looks like. And then down here, so I'm gonna have to pull up the repair manual because I don't know these by heart. I'm gonna have to set the crank to a certain TDC, and then I'll have access. I'll be able to see these, and even then, it's really sketchy because they're just like, it should look like this. So we don't really know what that like it's stupid. So I'll get that, and then I'll pull up the repair manual. Alrighty then, here we are today. Let me get out. Whoop. Alright, this is confidential information, okay? Even though this is the same stuff they put on all data to steal it directly from here. So these are the tone wheels on the top image. If you can't even make that out. These are the tone wheels on the top image. So if you're lucky, if you pulled the cam cover off, you'd have the markings on there that you level with the cylinder head, and that's how you tell your timing. Freaking garbage. Total garbage way to check timing. But you know what? They're like, let's do it this way. Let's fuck these guys. So if you don't have the timing marks, you need the special tool, which I don't even know if you can get that from, Amazon or eBay. So you need the special tool for that one to mark them it fits in the tone wheel in a certain position, and then you mark those, and then you line it's a bunch of mumbo, and you line it up with the cylinder head. So for here, we're gonna try this. We need the 53-degree mark on the crankshaft. Now I need to see if I have the 53-degree mark. If I do not have the 53-degree mark, then I need to get to the 40-degree, add a, I believe, I have to look at, I believe it's a 10 mil piece of paper or sticky tape. Engines without it, attach adhesive strip 17 millimeters to the 40 mark. So then you'll get your 50. So, well, this is for V8. The V8's the same way. If you have a 50, oh my god, you can't even see the whole time. The 53 is the same way, except for this is the tensioner on the 276. You're lining it up this way with the water pump area. So 40-degree with the 53. I need to see if I have a 53 mark, which I think this is early model 276. So I will not have the 53 mark, but I'm going to pull the belt off just to help see if we can visualize this. This is a real pain in the butt. When I first did this timing on the 276, when I started working for Mercedes, I was like, what? Why are you the way that you are? They are just the way that they are. A pain in the ass. So I'm going to take the belt off so I can see better. And then we're going to look for that 53-degree mark. Overlap. So if you go 53, bear with me here. If you go 53, dogs are barking. If you just go any 53, it won't work. You need to do 53 marking belt vibration dampener. The engine must not be turned back, blah, 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 counterclockwise. Rotate the center bolt, which is a 27 millimeter. Top dead center on cylinder 1, ignition TDC. So now I need to go to another set of instructions on how to get to 53-degree TDC. So I'm going to go to those 53. It's not there. There's another document, and it's not linked right next to it like it should be to show me how to get to 53. So let's see. So this check basic position of camshafts, which I believe is just the markings that I don't have. So let's go there. Remove cylinder head, install camshaft, rotate engine. I think this is the document I'm looking for. That's the 53. So this is okay, hold on, bear with me here. Not only do you have the marks on the cam sprocket, or the cam tone wheel, that line up with the window, and then the mark on the back that lines up with the cylinder head, you also have these laser etched marks on the cam sprockets, which I don't remember if these cam sprockets are actually keywayed into the camshaft. So that's another thing. So here's your laser, with the dogs to finish the thing. So here's the laser marks. So you got, this one is going to be shown on engine 276. This is 40 degrees ignition TDC. So this is what we want. But if you wanted the other one, you need to go to overlap TDC, which is these marks facing down at the 53-degree mark or 40-degree mark, whatever they deem you, whatever they want you to do to check that the location. So we wanted, I'm sorry if I am getting crazy or if I'm pissing people off. It's just what I do. I'm sorry if you hate me, but not really. I don't really care. So we want 40 degrees ignition TDC. I can't see these marks. I have no idea where they are. There's no way to see them. How would I know that? How would I know? Hey, Mercedes, let me just use my X-ray vision here. And this is the cam covers that they're looking through. There's no way to tell that I'm 50 or 40 ignition TDC or overlap because I cannot physically see the laser marks. You can take the magnet off. Alright, so I luckily have, let me get you off here. The 53 mark down there. If you can see that, I took my belt off. There's the 53. So I have a pin holding the tensioner in. So you push down to get the tension out the belt, put the pin in, take your belt off. So now, we don't know if we're overlap or TDC after ignition. So right now I have this one. So I have the fault for this side's camshaft according to the SDS. Currently that looks borked. Let me look directly over the top. Should be about halfway through. This one's more like how it's supposed to look. And then this one is halfway on bank 1. And this one is also halfway on bank 1. So like I said, we don't know this. I'm just going by what I think it is. My password. So I'm assuming this is how the cams look now. So if we go another 53, so I'm gonna go spin the crank 180 over. So I was lucky enough to have the 53 on my crank. Getting a little wobbly here. Yeah. Okay, we're at 0, 20, and 40, and 53. So let's see where we're at. We're at halfway there, completely covered there, halfway there, and completely covered there. So I believe that that is overlap. See, we don't know what exactly. It's like so funky. Where this is. And so if we go back, hopefully it didn't time out. Okay, we go back, and that's the etching on the back that we cannot see. This is where the eyeball is going to be. You can look at that. So 276, 53. It's showing intake halfway. So we're halfway. A little bit less than half, I would say here. This is how stupid it is. There's no measurement to go off besides what you... So this is like, if you look down the center line, that looks like it's about taking half that up. This is probably taking up a quarter. Now, I don't know. Let's see. So if we look here, we can see that the eyeball looking down, you should be halfway, and same with all of the tone wheels. So we are halfway, and then we are fully covered here. So we're out 180. So I'm gonna go ahead and spin over another 180. Okay, I'm at 53 again. And let's see where we're at halfway on the intake. That was the intake. Now this is the exhaust. That's halfway. This is intake, the one that we have the problem with. You can see that that's only covering maybe a quarter of the hole, and that is covering about half the hole. So I was right. So we need the camshaft. Let me grab a camshaft. Okay, so here is the camshaft. Here's how a new one comes, and I'll show you what it looks like. So there's really not much to even keep this protected besides these little blocks. Okay, so this does look like it's pinned, so the cam sprockets will be pinned. You probably shouldn't be holding it by that, but here's the tone wheel. So here's what we're looking at from the top. I'm not really sure which one we're looking at. Probably, let me look at the image. Should be, we're looking at like this, and this is what we're seeing in the window here. Here is, so now I don't think that one in the car is going to have this mark, but here is your mark. I don't know if you can even see that. Right there, I need like something to point with. Right here is your mark, and then here is your other mark on here. So you can barely see that lining up there. So this is what's spun on it. So my theory is, what else you could possibly do is jam a screwdriver in there, spin the motor backwards, and turn this a little bit till it's halfway. That could be a cheap fix. I don't know why these spin if it got super hot. That doesn't make sense why only one spins. They're not pinned or anything. And then on the back of the head, or on the back here, this is the mark that lines up with the, can't even see that, it's all blurred out. This is the part that lines up with the top of the cylinder head. So that'd be the top of the cylinder head for mark, so that way you know the cam's on time. This is the mark you would know if you're, right there, this is the mark you know if your tone wheel's on time. So what I'm gonna have to do now is pull this apart and replace this cam. Like I was saying, one maybe quick way is stick a screwdriver in there, turn the engine over, and make this line up halfway. That's something that's in the wheelhouse if this customer is actually trying to sell the car, but then you're potentially screwing. I don't know why they spin, so I ain't got the answers, Sway. So I'm gonna be throwing an intake cam in this thing, and you will enjoy me on the adventure. So we just need to focus on this side. So let's work on getting everything out of the way. So I'm gonna start with the harness. I'm gonna do your do your injectors. Light with those a little bit. Undo your coils, push back the gray, lock into tabs, push the connector on, push the tab down, release it with your thumb. Pull this off, pull this out of the way, and of course it splits off two separate ways. It makes it kind of difficult to take it off. I'm going to take this out of my way. Let's get that out of the way. There's a ground here. Let's take this ground off. Clip that. Unclip the actuators. And let's take this out. I think this is too small. Was E8. I'll undo the thermostat sensor. Away. Basically, you just want to move everything out of your way that you possibly can, because we're gonna have to pull this off. This is a ton. So we get that out of the way. This out of the way. There's a high pressure sensor here for the fuel rail. Unclip that. Move that out of the way. Right, this is also how you're supposed to do coils on this thing. You can do them without removing the intake manifold, but it always sucks. Take the coils out. Removing the coils, you got to be kind of careful because the boots like to break. So what I like to do is just kind of twist the coils here. Oh, it can be easier to see here. And then kind of pull them off after you've twisted them a little bit. Try twisting them as you're pulling it off, but it's just, they don't really like to come off. Try not to break this here, but there we go. Got one off. Oops, take this bracket off here. T30 out, holding this bracket over here out of the way. I just can't get the screw on this. Just a little far. Just a little too something. I don't know, I just feel like it's a good angle here. Trying. Let's try to twist this coil out again. Release it from the spark plug. To get this thing out of here. Be gentle, they like to rip here. Got one more. Maybe just so that one. The boot stayed, but I'll leave the boot. Fuck it. Pretty sure I don't need to take the boot out. Okay. Take this bracket off here, which is this whole ass thing here. Nice. Let's see where's some of the bolts on this thing. There's probably a few. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna bend this out of the way. Instead of fighting with all these random bolts tucked away, who knows where. Just push it to the side. Let's see, I can take off one more bolt. It looks kind of easy to get to. T30. And here's another E10 there. Even tethers? No, I can't tell. Yeah. I'm definitely just going to push that out of the way when I do that. I'm going to disconnect the battery. I don't want the fuel system priming on me. Fuel all over the place. Okay, let's work on getting the fuel, everything out of the fuel out of the way. Fuel lines are kind of a pain in the butt. Dude, this E8 is a piece of crap. Why won't it fit on any of my E8s? brand new snap-on one on top of that. Got that. And then there's like random T30s holding everything on. So we have to basically pull this fuel rail off because it comes over the top here and into this. So I'm going to undo there, here, 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 and then I'm probably going to have to take it all the way off over here on the high pressure pump. And the high pressure pump has this annoying bracket around it which has a bunch of T12s, E12s it feels like. So that should be fun. I'm going to go ahead and pause that and start taking those off. So far I pulled, I undid all these fittings for the high pressure pump, and then I took this cover off the high pressure pump that runs on the back. It has a harness attached to it down at the bottom, and then it has about three, I think it would see how it was on here. Hold on. It was on like that. It goes down here like this, and then you have the 2 bolts holding it from the back coming in. And then, oh sorry, it actually went like, oh no, it went like this. So here's the harness. The harness ran down the back side. So it went in like this. If you can't get to some of the screws, how did this go? I don't even remember. I think it went like this. Hold up. Give me a minute. Hold up. Wait a minute. Somebody write. Yes. No. It went like this. Yes. It went like this. Like this. So there's a bolt here, and there's one way back here on the back side. So the clip down there for the air box, I just bent it out of the way to get to the bolt, which was this one way down here. Sorry, this one way down here. They're E10s. This one was a pain in the butt to get. And I just pulled it up with the harness and broke a zip tie and undid the harness. And that's out of the way. So another thing you have to do is we have to pull this plenum out, the plastic part, because the fuel line wraps around there. So even after all of those fittings are done, or off, you still need to take this plastic part off because the fuel rail runs behind it. And you can get the fuel rail out because it's in the way. So, this is too slow. Here's my T30 I was looking for. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then you can leave this one in. Actually, I could have left these 2 back ones in because that's just connecting the 2 together. And after that, it should just be the gaskets are just kind of holding it on now. So just go ahead and give it some pry action here. Kind of sounds funky. I guess you can't take it out. Just kidding. You have to split it. So take the most front one and the back one out. And we'll pull this left side off, the right side off. Fantastic. Stick the paper back in your holes if you want. Okay, so now that we have that, we still can't get that off because this runs under the fuel rail. So what we need to do is pull the fuel rail now. Let's undo all the bolts for the fuel rail. Okay, now that the fuel rail's off, you're not gonna be able just to pull them out. The injectors are pretty stuck in there, so you might have to use a pry bar to get in there, and it's kind of take a lot of effort. So try to spread it out evenly here, but sometimes these injectors are super hard to get off. Kind of use anything you can to get in here. There we go, got that side up. The middle's out. I think I'm having issues right now with this front one. It does not want to come out. Yeah, that front one's not coming out. Shoot. Yeah, so that came off the back one, or the front one, so let's get that out. And then you have your injectors, your direct injection seals. Now it's very unfortunate that this one got stuck. I do not have the tool to pull those here, so I'm going to have to figure something out. So after you got all this off, you should be able to take this contraption out of here. Take this off. And then. We're almost there. I promise. So what are we going to do next? So now you need to, so there's a bolt, so there's a cap here, you can leave the cap, plug here, it's like plug to the end of the cylinder head, back here, and then there's one plug coming, or a bolt coming this way through the vacuum pump. So I believe you can leave the vacuum pump, you just have to take this forward, or this bolt out all the way over here. Is my autofocus off? No, it's on. All the way off back here. But now, I need to figure out how I'm going to get this injector out. So these are piezo injectors, so they say don't beat the crap out of them. What I'm going to do is try to twist it a little bit. This is gonna suck. There we go. Got lucky. I was very careful not to break that. I was prying off this connector, but not too crazy, and then had this over here, and then just wiggling it, and then it came out. Do not mix those up because they are coded to the ECU in the correct order. So now I'm gonna take the oil filter housing out. Drain back a little bit, and then we're gonna have to take this front cover off. So definitely gonna want to get a set of wrenches for this. Because one of these, or I think a couple of these, are kind of hard to get. Aftermarket oil filter, I do not approve. Doesn't even snap in correctly. Oh, it's kind of in there. So now I'm going to work on getting this front cover off. So it's got these aluminum bolts on here. They say it's one-time use, but you can use them again if you just don't go buck wild on them. But there's a couple that are kind of not really hard to get to, but it's better if you have a wrench. I am not showing any of this. Let me know where I just put that. Because I'm all about fitting my electric ratchet wherever I can. I can't fit it, I'm kind of bummed out. Okay, at this point we're probably, I don't know, a couple hours in, I'd say, 2 hours. It's probably a 6-hour job. If you've never done it, maybe a day or more. Nice. Okay, got all those off. You just get a screwdriver or prying action here. Front cover, one off. Now you can see the laser etch marks, but barely because they're inside here. But I think I forget which position we're in. I think you can't even see them still. And then we have space over here. Okay, and this is your chain tensioner right here for this side. So once we get all the slack off here, we'll do that later, once I send it to TDC again on the other side. So yeah, I'm gonna work on getting I think this exposure is like way high. That's a little better, huh? Yeah, so I gotta get all these bolts off now for the cover and the chain tensioner. It should have, the cam should have little things holding them down. So I'm going to work on getting these bolts out now for the to hold it on. There's still a couple actually. There's a T30 back here. This stupid harness that's always in my way. I hate it. So let's see, there's definitely a T30 back here. There's the vacuum pump, and then there's another T30 back here that's kind of grabbing on. So I'm going to try to just undo these without getting too crazy. See how this goes. That nipple out of the vacuum pump. Seemed like it was gonna get in my way. Okay, I got one. These regular 30s, you can realize how freaking long they are until you put one in there. dropped my short T30 in the Audi when I was working on that. And I didn't even bother looking for it because I would have been, it drove me crazy trying to find it. Looks like this is about to drive me crazy here. This is driving me crazy. I don't think you need to see me fight with this bolt. Actually just has, it usually has 4 of these holding the cams down. 2 here, which is kind of weird, and then 2 here. I don't know why it's like there's I don't know if that's scratch marks from, they're just casting marks. There's usually 4 of these. I'm gonna look it up in the instructions tomorrow. 4 of those, and then there's these 2. 2 of those, 2 of those. Anyways, we're here to do the cam. So now, let's set it up on a Tizyme. Now let me see where we're at here, because I need light. I'll show you where time is once I get there. Assuming this has, okay, that one's there. This one should be there. I can see that one. Cannot see that one, so let me drop in the mirror over. Now my cam's walking out of there. Stepping up. Which is super weird. I'm actually on time here and here. I mean, I would shoot. So, I mean, you can't even see the marks, but they're on the back. Like I was saying earlier, this mark here, that black mark on the cam, is lined up with the top of the head on this one. But what's weird is that my tone wheel was nowhere. I mean, it didn't seem like it was where it needed to be. So that one's there, and this one's there. I mean, it sure as hell seems like it's on time, but according to my calculations, it's not. So I got my laser etch coming up here and here. The only way to know for sure is to remove the camshaft completely. And to do that, I'm gonna mark this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the laser etch marks that are on the cam sprockets and then just mark them with a yellow mark so I know where they go. If I could, I would. It's not like to mark right now. Let's see. This one there. This is kind of weird because I thought for sure it'd be out of time here. Super obvious, but it doesn't even seem super obvious, which is the weird thing. Nice. Can't even get this thing out of here. Should have pinned this tensioner before I pulled it out. This tensioner, took the 2 bolts out. And this one does have the relief valves. I mean, the camshaft's lifting, so it could be out of time. It just looks like it because the camshaft lifted. Because if I push down, it looks like it's spun. Well, it doesn't make sense this way, but I don't know. Pull this out. I don't even have the stupid tool to release the tension on to take my sprocket off. Dang it. That sucks. I'm screwed. I forgot the tool to take this off, so now I'm gonna have to wait till tomorrow. It's a bummer because I really wanted to see that. If it's off, it looks like it's off. If I could just, if the vacuum pump wasn't on, I could probably get it off. One jumped tooth. And how am I supposed to spin these? On the back sides. Alright, let's get started here. So, I'm just going to stick this camshaft back in because I was able to get the sprocket off the other one. I took it to work and use a tool. Ow. Now I just need to line this up to my mark. Here. I'm marking it that far over, but what the heck? What the heck? Must have. Alright. I'm off a tooth. Alright, so I have the chain marked on here. It's probably going to jump off a few times. I'm going to put this camshaft in here. I think it goes like so. You have the mark on the back here, thingy here, the little, looks like someone drew it in with a Sharpie, but that's what you know. So this will line up to the outside of the cylinder head, so at least you know that's your orientation where you're going to go. So I'm going to slide this into the vacuum pump right there. I'm going to place that down. And I think I just fully on, like full on, yeah, that mark wipes right off. It's pretty stupid. Alright, well luckily I marked the chains. And because of that stupid laser etch, it's lasered on this one, and whatever, it's just stupid. That's Mercedes-Benz for you. So we have to line up the laser etch on here, which is, ooh, where are we at here? There's a laser etch here to line, and since I marked the chain, I'm going to line up the camshaft, if I can get it to line up here. I don't really know which way I'm off here. Let's see, how far is this off here? I can't even see the laser etch on the other one. Oh, I'll do my flashlight first.
Dad, can I go to the neighbor's house to see if they could play?
Yeah.
And I don't want to change because I just got these.
Alright, so I got this all on time, so let me tell you how I did it. So you can either use a big ass inconvenient socket in the back of the cylinder head, which is a T60, which has a hole, but I still have the vacuum pump on, so I couldn't put that in the back here. So what I did was I just lightly gripped with some channel locks, or vice grips, the rounded ones, around the camshafts. It's another good way that you can turn them. It doesn't mar them up or too bad or whatever, it's fine. I've been doing it for years. When you just, instead of tearing it all apart, unless you want to, feel free to tear it all apart. So after that, I lined up my laser marks, and one thing I was having an issue with was lining up the cam to here because it had not gone back. I'm worried if this is going to be ruined or not, or me taking the bolt off. I'm not really sure, but it hadn't returned back. And there's a spring in there, which I was under the impression that it's supposed to, but I know that it can and can't sometimes if it doesn't lock. I'm hoping it's not this that made this turn. So that would suck. But I guess I'll find out after I, you know, whatever. Put it together. So then I lined up my chain colors to the laser etched marks here, and then while I had to keep holding tension on this side of the chain because it kept trying to jump back, so I just stuck like a, you know, you can stick a fat head of something to wedge it in there that just kind of held it for me. So I had two fingers. I compressed the chain tensioner and put the pin in, and then I put the tensioner in and then pulled the pin out. So now the slack is being held on the bottom, so I don't have to worry about that anymore. And so yeah, that's pretty much everything's on time and done here. like I'm saying, you can see the indentations on here. That's where those 4 things go. I only have 2, which I don't know why, if someone's been in here or they just forgot them. I doubt anybody's been in here. So I don't really want to spin the motor over yet, but I don't really have an option. Because if I start spinning the motor over, it's gonna just, the cams are gonna lift up in the back. It's kind of sketchy. So I guess I just gotta go solely off my chain marks, and then once I get this on, then I can check through the windows, and that's all I'll have for timing to know if verify if I did it right. Which kind of sucks. So I'm gonna just clean up this, and then I'm gonna put this on. You know, the goo goes here where you can see where it was before, around here, here, and here, and then here. There's O-rings over there, and then I guess some goes around these holes. So I might just look up the instructions. I don't really know if I feel like it or not. Just take a, you know, don't go buck wild cleaning this off. I never do. Just use a razor blade and get off what you can. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be completely spotless like this. It can leave some residue behind and you'll be fine. It's much more safer that way. I'll go ahead and clean it up. Alright, I put my silicone down. Now I'm going to put this on. I try to feed it in the back first over the vacuum pump. And then it's got the dipstick tube in the way, so you gotta push that out of the way also. Too. I believe these are like 12 Newton meters plus a 90. So I just snug them up. I'm gonna snug them all up and then just do a good 90 on all of them. Before I torque all those down though, I'm going to crank the engine over. So here we're 180, still 180 out. Go to the 53 mark, and we are just about where we need to be. I mean, even still, I mean, it's so hard to tell if those are where they need to be. It looks a little more, I mean, looking, you got halfway here. And honestly, this thing is still not halfway. I can't even tell. It's so stupid. Let me get on this bolt here. And it sucks is because the car is so far apart. It's not like you can just like, well, let me try it real quick and then run it. It's like, there's so much to put together. That's what I hate. That's the one thing I hate about these cars, the newer cars. See, that's how it should be. I'm starting to think that this thing actually has a bad, beautiful. A bad cam adjuster sprocket. So it's gonna need both. Which means I'm gonna have to do it again. I'm pretty sure. Let's see, when I go one more, 180. I don't think this thing's locking in place. $50, we're like half. When I put my on this one. Yeah, see, this one doesn't turn, but this one will. Watch. It's gonna need both. Yep. This is bad. Pretty sure. I'll just take one of these other ones out and try it. Alright, so I had to pull it back apart and to replace this because this is bad. The pin wore out, so it no longer resets to where it's supposed to, so it's not supposed to do that. Well, it does that. No. I can't remember which way it was. Well, it does that. It spins independently from the cam because that's how it adjusts. This one's just not resetting, so it is jumping a bunch. I should have loosened that, I didn't even realize how tight I put it. Jesus. How tight did I put this thing? we're gonna take this off. The new cam adjuster here. Double check the part numbers. I get the V6EL, V6EL. Intake, E is for intake, A is for exhaust on these. And we're just gonna go ahead and line this up again. Let's see, where's my pinhole? It's kind of a pain in the butt to hold. The M276 there. Actually, I think this no longer is relevant. So I did paint the marks on the cam. So I think the only one that's relevant is going to be this one, because this one's not the one that's spun back. So what I am going to have to go off of is the marks on the top, on the back of the sprockets, but I don't even know if that other one has one. A flashlight here. Yeah, this one has one. So actually, I think I might be good. Actually. Go. Alright, so I got the new cam sprocket in. I'm checking the magnet holes, or these holes here. So that's going one more time over. And then we'll look and see where we're at in regards to that. So 40. No, we want to be 53, I believe. 53. And let's see, we're half and half now. It's really hard to tell. I hate this feeling. But here's these. So this is 53. For this one, it's about, it's supposed to be halfway. This one, yeah, you can't even see in there. That's like, let's see if I have like a straight edge or something to put up against it. I don't really have a wrench. It's just really hard to tell. So if this is halfway, so that's like halfway over the hole. This one's halfway over the hole. It has a little bigger gap there, but if you think about it, if you went a tooth in any direction, you'd be way off. And then here's this one. These ones are roughly the same. I mean, this is such a terrible way to check timing, but it's the only way on these engines. With no tool, there's no cam holders for these, there's no nothing. It's super irritating. So you don't have anything to go off. And you definitely don't want to do it twice because I gotta put all the fuel lines on and everything. And it sucks on these engines because you can't just fire them up and then just check your, your timing. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna put it back together now, and then fire it up and see what happens.
When are we gonna set these up?
Next month.
When next month?
Around Halloween.
This is mushy. Ew. That's the board in here.
So I've unplugged a million of these, but for some reason when I was plugging this one out in, it was kind of hard, so I thought maybe like the latch, because sometimes the latches get dry and they don't like to slide. So I thought, nah, maybe it's just sticking or something. So then I kind of like pushed down on it and I tried to latch it, and it still was like, wouldn't go down. And I was like, that's weird. Pulled it off, and then I don't know how it happened, but 2 of these pins on here completely bent like this. And then I smashed one of the connectors, or the sockets, I guess you would call them, the pins. So I had the wire cut in here. It's this purple wire, because I got to put a new pin or a new end on it. So I don't know what the heck happened or how the hell that happened. So I've literally never had that happen before. Somebody did work on this car prior to me and did a bunch of the magnets and stuff. I don't know if they had it unplugged, but all I did was just go to plug it in like I always do. Go like this, and then you just push it down a little bit, and then you just push the latch, and it kind of sucks itself closed. But this one just bent 2 pins like in half. And I was able to straighten them out, and hopefully everything just works right, and then I can just get it working. So we'll see after this, I guess. Once I put the rest together, I'll see if it's fine. Sure you put these on. There's little nubs here. Right there's a nub. It lines up with the nub on the intake manifold. So I don't think it actually really matters on the left or right. But make sure you put these on here first, because I mean, it seemed common sense to me that you would put these on here first, but some people don't even realize they're there, or they put them on the intake manifold first. And if you do, there's no way to get it seated correctly, and you smash them like whoever worked on this last did. So they go there first, then you push them on, and then make sure that they're all out of the intake manifold, or the resonance, or whatever they call it. Just put some jelly here. harnesses are out of the way. This one needs to be out of the way. That's one that goes there. I think this one got turned around. And once you get it where you need to, make sure all your hoses are pulled back. And then everything's out of the way. It should just go down. Just like that. Now if you have to pull this up for any reason, be careful because it'll undo what you just did. Back here. Got the other ones back here still. Cool. And then just put your booster line and everything, all your connectors back on. You have a plug here. So you got your booster line over here to this little crossover line. Got electrical connector, then you got that little vacuum line on the back there. An electrical connector here. And another one back here. So there's 2 electrical connectors here, one here. The big booster line to the vacuum pump, and then the little vacuum line to the bottom of the vacuum pump. There's a little nipple for it. And that's pretty much it. Slide this line on. I don't know if I'm going to have to do camshaft adaptation or not. Just crease the crap out of that. But we'll see after I get everything plugged in. Oh, I didn't put the belt on. That's okay. Down. And then you gotta put your belt on and stuff. I'm gonna do that right now. And finish buttoning it up. That pretty much wraps it up, I think, here. If you have any questions, just post them down below. I gotta repair this pin. Earlier I mentioned the oil in there, so I just sprayed that out and then blew it out with air. So just be careful, don't force this on. It should just be like this frame one here. So it should just come off, and then when you just put it on, like just push it down, and you just push this, and then you're done. That's how this one should have been. Like I said, I thought this was locked up because they get dirt in there and they're a little hard, but I smashed 2 pins. Could have been a couple, like, you know, $1,000 for ECU here. So I'll repair that wire, that connector that got smashed, and cross my fingers that it works. Alright, peace out. So here's the thingy taken apart, the cam gear. And so the issue with it is this pin. It's supposed to spring back with the spring in here. So there's a spring here. Can't really see, but this spring will, when you turn to when you shut the engine off, it'll spring back. Or when it's not adjusting. So what happens is, when it springs back, this is part of this. So this goes in here, and it springs back. Well, you can kind of see how it's ramped here. Right there. You can see how it's ramped. It's supposed to be like a hole like this. Let's see how it's smooth, and so it allows this thing to just keep coming in and out and not locking. So that's the issue. I've seen, if you wanted to save money, you can weld this and then drill it, and then you'll have a nice slot again. It needs to be like this one. But you know, I don't know. I've seen people do that, and so not much to say here. But that's what's wrong with it. So that's it. Goodbye.